Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Homie Picks. It's me, Jared, Ben, and Lou back at you for another episode, week 3, NFL. Fellas, how does it feel? Matter of fact, I can't talk. Lou, how does it feel to be undefeated?
I was undefeated last week. Listen. You can't win them all, but holy shit, what a week 2.
Well, I know my team, in terms of teams, my Ravens definitely had a damn win and then snatched. We wanted to see defeat so early that we let Tua, I can't even say his last name, go absolutely nuts on us for 400 something yards in the fourth quarter. It felt like, because it felt like all of that shit happened in the fourth quarter. That was one of the worst defeats I've ever seen. However, that was one of the first defeats that I've ever seen for my team. Ben, how the hell did your team get blanked to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I tell you, I am not shocked. I'm not shocked. That's why I stayed away from that one. I had a feeling Jacksonville would win this one. I don't know what it is in Florida. They just can't. They just don't match up well with them or something. I have no clue what it is. They haven't beaten them, I don't know, since Luck, I think.
It's that Florida water, man.
Something's happening. They just, for whatever reason, they always give them a hard time, and especially down in Florida, they usually split the season. So not terribly shocked. I mean, it sucked, but I mean, I didn't really want to get blanked out like that, but their defense is good.
24 zip it was? Yeah, it was
27, I think, or something
27
like
zip.
Even worse than I thought it was to begin with. I mean, that was a performance, but hopefully all our teams, can possibly catch a W this week. But we're not going to start on the Pittsburgh. Almost the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. We ain't going to start on that game. We have no interest in covering that, although that is tonight's game for Thursday Night Football. However, what we will start on is Green Bay Tampa. So you would have thought that had this been last year, this would have been definitely a Sunday Night Football type of arrangement. But you got a year. We got a year over past that. A lot of these guys get a little achy, a little old, so nobody really want to see that. That's a nice little 4:00 game. But right now, Tampa Bay is a 1.5 point favorite. Green Bay is a minus 102. So yeah, usually you get like a plus or a minus, meaning somebody's a clear favorite, somebody's a clear underdog. Vegas see both of them winning. So it's real tightly contested. Lou, who do you think is going to come up with this one though?
Yeah, this is one of those games where it's like, one, whoever makes the least mistakes wins, and 2, who shows up. Brady shows up in the fourth, or does Aaron show up in the fourth? And who they're throwing to? Mike Evans suspended. We don't even know none of the receivers on Green Bay besides Randall Cobb, and he's pretty much as old as Lambeau at this point. So this is going to come down to a running game. If Leonard Fournette shows up, I think Tampa Bay wins. If Aaron Jones shows up, then it's Green Bay's game. This is one of those games where, as a bettor, I would stay away from. There's nothing sexy about this bet. No kind of parlay I would ever put on this game right here, because we don't know what's going to happen. You can't even predict that they're going to win it. This game might end in a tie. Could very well end in a tie. But for show's sake, I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers finds a way to beat Tom Brady. It's going to come down to the last 2 minutes of this game, or it's going to be a clear blowout. Either way, that's two ends of the spectrum. I don't think this is going to be an interesting game. I think this is why the NFL scheduled it early, a 4:00 game, get it out of the way, because had this been later in the season, they might have to flex this to a Sunday night game. And to stay away from that, they just did it nice early. So I'm taking Green Bay in this one. I can't even predict score. I don't. Whichever old man doesn't mess up. Like I don't know.
Ben, what you thinking, man?
Yeah, I mean, I see it. It's a toss up, really. Tampa Bay is just so banged up, at the front. But I think it's really gonna come down to the defenses. And I think Tampa Bay is probably gonna edge them just a little bit there. And I believe Aaron Rodgers has lost the last few games in Florida, so at Tampa. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Tampa. I don't. It could be a field goal win, but it'll be close. I feel like it's gonna be a low scoring game.
Yeah, I don't know either. I struggle with this one mightily. It really depends on really who's available because Tampa has a lot of bodies on that injury report. They did last week. Still a lot of lingering bodies this week. As Lou mentioned, no Mike Evans. So that's going to be a loss for them. I can see this being a 21-20 or a 28-27 game. However, it's really a toss-up. I guess to be the tiebreaker, I kind of at this point, and it's early in the season, I'm kind of going to lean towards Jones and Dillon of Green Bay to kind of be like the settling points of this. I have no faith in the receivers for Green Bay, and I don't really know who the hell's going to be available for Tampa. So I'm going to go Green Bay. I'm going to say they edge out the Buccaneers at home for that one. But Ben, what game do you have circled on your week 3 map?
Yeah, I this week I really like the game. I think it's gonna be could possibly be a high scoring game. Buffalo versus at Miami. This is what Josh Allen's potential third blowout game, right? I mean, they always seem to blow out the Dolphins, but I'm gonna give them a chance to put up some points. Ultimately, I pick myself. I think Buffalo wins it, but it could be a high scoring game. But then again, it's I do not trust Tua either. I think he's a very up and down quarterback. Let's see how stable he becomes this season with all these weapons. I mean, he's started off very well, but let's see if he can sustain it. So right now, I just don't trust him enough yet, and my gut feeling tells me Buffalo's gonna win this one. So, last time around I got burnt by Kirk Cousins, and they're kind of similar at times. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo on this one.
Oh boy. Lou, what are you thinking, bro?
Miami. Oh my God, what a performance! First of all, my condolences to you, Jared, because I was completely shell shocked at that game. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like I was flipping back and forth, and like, there's no way. But Buffalo has the number 1 defense in the NFL, and I don't think they're gonna play the same way the Ravens were. I don't know what the Ravens were doing when you're up 21 points. Like you're not playing prevent defense 3-4 deep, and even if you're not playing prevent, like you gotta put a man in the cheetah's face. Like you gotta put somebody on the line on him to play all your defensive backs, your corners 10 yards off of him. You give that man a 10-yard head start to start running, and it's over. You might as well give Usain Bolt the gold medal at that point because it's forget about it. But I don't think Buffalo's going to do the same mistakes. I think this is going to be probably one of the tougher games for Josh Allen on the season, just because Miami's riding such an emotional high coming back and beating Baltimore from 21. But I agree with Ben on this one. I think Josh Allen is starting to this is a game where he can start separating himself in the MVP talk, where he can, put his foot in the ground and say, Stephon Diggs lit it up too. Because don't get it twisted. Stephon Diggs was like phenomenal, 2 touchdowns. I think he outperformed. Who did they play? That they beat the
Titans, Tennessee.
Yeah, he outperformed every one of their wide receivers single-handedly. So I'm going to give the edge to Buffalo. This is one of the games where the defense shows up. Von Miller is the ultimate X factor. He doesn't have to do everything, but he's that quarterback on the defense that can point guys out, where to move, like don't get beat over the top like these guys were. So I'm giving the edge to Buffalo on this one.
Yeah, I ain't going to hold y'all. That was a horrible loss for my Ravens. I remember me and Paul, shout out to Paul, A2021Vision, president, CEO. We were watching The Woman King, and I'm in the theater. I'm like, oh, we got this shit in the bag. It's fourth quarter, up 21. It's like, the fuck is happening here? After a while, when I saw the score in the game, when the movie was over, I said, God damn it, we lost. Like I couldn't believe that shit. Like we made Tua look like the second coming of John Elway, meet Dan Marino, he could have been Dan Marino the way he was performing. My thing with Buffalo's winning this game. I'm gonna put it right there. Buffalo's winning this game. Their defense is way better at this point. The Ravens definitely got a wake-up call. I hope we take it out on the Patriots this week. Which is crazy. I think first four out of our first 5 games are against the AFC East. So we have Buffalo coming up right after. It's crazy that Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are that's a dynamic wide receiver core.
But if you put
a better quarterback with that, if you put Josh Allen on that team, oh my God. Or Justin Herbert, that would be insane. But to Buffalo's credit, at least you got Tua. I don't see him getting 400 something yards. Tua and both Lamar both cost me a nice parlay. I had a 10 player or 10 thing leg parlay for $5. If Tua would have threw for under 275 and Lamar would have threw for under 269, from that $5 I could have had $3,000. So shit hurt my heart. I was just all lost on Sunday. We'll do better this Sunday though. But yeah, Buffalo, they're a better team. They have something to prove, and they're playing like they got something to prove. Now let's see how that holds out, because remember Tennessee was also playing like they had something to prove, and then they started to fizzle late too. So I think Buffalo is going to be a scary team, at least in the first 11 weeks of the season. And then they may start to coast a little bit towards the end, but this is going to be a nice matchup for them. It potentially could be a high scoring game. I think it will be. I think as high as Buffalo getting 42, but I think Miami's probably going to fizzle out around 21. But I think Buffalo's. Their defense is crazy. Their offense is rolling. So that's just what I think that's going to be. Coming up to the stage though, we do have a guest this week. 3 weeks, 3 guests. I love it. He is a friend and a supporter of A2021 Productions. He wanted me to say that because he is a friend of the show. He does watch, he does support, he does subscribe. He's also the only Viking fan that I know. I want to welcome to the stage, Danny. Danny, Train Man. Welcome to the stage.
Unfortunately, during the pandemic, I actually had to go to work, so I don't have any experience with Zoom.
Well, welcome to Zoom. Welcome to Homie Picks. That's first and foremost. for one, I want to introduce Danny once again to the stage. He is a friend and supporter of A2021 Productions. We call him Train Man. We call him Danny. Known him back since our Best Buy days, also our transit days. So, you know.
Wait, what do you mean our transit days? I'm still there. Where are you at?
You still there? I'm still there, but I'm in a nice, comfortable tower now. But
oh, look at you.
But first and foremost, I have to ask the question. The fans, the supporters all want to know, how did you become a Vikings fan? Because we see the nice jersey right there. So how did you become a
Win, lose,
Vikings
or draw, that is support, baby.
fan?
Well, it all started when, well, I was once a Giants fan. And I wasn't really like an active football fan, but I would, watch games, go to games when I was invited and stuff. And then the whole Colin Kaepernick thing happened. And I was like, most other people, some other people in the country were like, you know what? Well, F the NFL. I'm not going to support something that doesn't support the community or the people that, support them. And then they had said that Colin was going to be getting a second chance to come back into the league. That we all know how that happened. So I'm like, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, they're going to make money anyway. I might as well get back into the sport. Let me start fresh with a new team. And I chose the Vikings because I have a friend that I'm in a car club with. And he explained to me the history and how he became a Vikings fan. And I looked into the Vikings. I'm like, you know what? They're a team that they have a decent history, but they've also never made it to the big dance. So it makes sense to actually start with a team that's, in the trenches right now, struggling, trying to get there.
No front runner. I like that. No front runner. I mean, because they've had a good history. They've had Frank Tarkenton, is one of their most illustrious players that played for them. Chris Carter. He was actually one of my, before I was a Ravens fan, I was a huge Chris Carter fan. So I did follow the Vikings back when I would first started watching football. And then, the freak, Randy Moss came around and, like he made a lot of people, like, he was like, I would say Randy Moss was kind of like Michael Jordan a little bit. It was like you either hated him because he was ruining your team, or you just loved him because he was like God on the field at times. Like,
those two receivers made Dante Culpepper look really, really good.
and those two receivers made him a lot of money. Those two receivers made him a lot of money too.
Most definitely.
But so that's the story how you become a Vikings fan. So so clearly you like that. Do you do sports betting or like fantasy sports?
I'm not that lucky, so I steer away from that. I have no problem spending my money the old-fashioned way by buying other things I don't need, like little statues and figurines for my apartment.
Funko Pops?
Man, listen, I should buy stock in the company.
So your team, it was a bad loss last week against the Eagles. I know us as on the panel, a couple of us did pick Minnesota.
Yeah, all three of you did. Not a couple of you, all three of you did.
I should have known better. Monday night, Kirk.
That's true.
I should have known better.
Yeah.
When the spotlight is the brightest, Kirk Cousins is the dimmest.
I thought he was gonna come through this time, but nope. He said, "Nah, watch this."
Well,
we all kind of had that feeling that, maybe he's a little bit more comfortable now that he's got a coach that's actually focusing on him and his abilities that he's worked with in the past. So we figured, okay, maybe this is the new Kirk Cousins. Yeah, unfortunately, that seemed to have lasted only a week. So we'll see what happens this week. So we're going against a team that also lost to Philly, and we're both 1-1. So we'll see what happens. They seem pretty evenly matched by the numbers, so should be a good game.
I mean, we were all surprised that Detroit. I mean, I know I was, for one, hella surprised that Detroit got all the way up in Washington like that. I mean, I had a feeling it would win, but I didn't think it would be dominant like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, but speaking of your team, so a quick pick. Vikings, are hosting the Lions. The Vikings are a 5.5 point favorite. How do you see your team faring this week?
Well, of course, as a fan, I want to say they're gonna win. But like I said, if you go by statistics, which most people are doing nowadays with the analytics of all sports, it looks like they're going to be pretty evenly matched, so it can go either way. But the advantage they have is that they're playing in Bank Stadium, and a lot of people don't play well in Bank Stadium, so they have that to their advantage.
So, all right, I like it. Danny is predicting a Vikings home win. Now I have to ask the question. How do you see your team faring the rest of the season? I will start by saying maybe I was on the sauce, but I'm still gonna hold true to my pick. I said the Bears are gonna be the division champions. However, my other two co-hosts did say the Vikings will be the North champions. So how do you see your team faring the rest of the season?
Well, I definitely see the Vikings being a double-digit winning team. I'd like to say that they're at least going to make the NFC Championship game, but that's still up. If they continue to play like they did Monday, that dream is in the toilet. But if they can work out what all the mistakes that they made defensively on Monday, they have a pretty good shot at making an 11-12 game win.
I can see that. And if they do that, they definitely the champions of that division.
Because they've already shown that offensively, when Kirk's head is in the game, he's capable of leading that team down the field. So I still have faith in the men. Everybody's this past Monday, everybody's like, "Oh, same old Kirk, same old team." They don't know how to make those big wins, but it's only week 2. You can't be like, "Oh, go Vikings week 1 because we beat the Packers." Yeah, it's our division rival and it meant something, but you can't be like all down on your team and be like, "Oh, damn, I can't believe they're back to the same route." It's like having Zimmer all over again. It's really not. I mean, you got to give KOC a little bit of breathing room. This is his first time as a head coach. Yes, he's coming as a Super Bowl with a Super Bowl ring and Super Bowl experience that he can transfer to the Vikings, which is great. But again, this is also his first time as a head coach making those play action calls. If he's got the proper support behind him, I don't see why they can't make it all the way.
My only thing with the Vikings is the kind of the same scenario with the Dolphins. You have great wide receivers.
Yeah.
But the quarterback just can't, it doesn't do it for me. Like you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill in the Dolphins. You have Thielen and Justin Jefferson. And you got Dalvin Cook. Like you have offensively gifted players. But the quarterback is just
and Irv Smith Jr. is no slouch either. He's the only one to score a touchdown on Monday. So
right. He was your only saving grace. So
right. And it really wasn't even a saving grace. The saving grace would have been if they could have made something happen on that punt block.
Well, that's true too.
That was just embarrassing. I mean, Kurt was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Hey guys, you lost something. Let me give this back to you."
See, but hopefully he gets it together. Hopefully he realizes, I mean, maybe y'all can ask the NFL to not have any more like Sunday or Monday night games. Maybe make like the stadium lights a little lower, like no more like at night, games. He might be doing because y'all played in the day before, y'all win. So maybe he has like day games.
We'll see if Kirk was a Michael Jordan caliber sports figure, maybe that could happen. But unfortunately, he's not. So they're just gonna look at him and be like, "Yeah, just go throw your ball. Just go throw the ball."
Well, I hope I have faith in your Vikings going forward, at least for this week. I want to wish your team luck for the rest of the season. I want to thank you for being a guest. You're welcome back anytime to come through. Thank you for being a supporter as always. And for being a homie. On homie picks, and not just on homie picks, but I'll catch you around, D. And You're always welcome back to the stage, brother.
Most definitely. Thank you for having me. Salud,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
All right, all right. Thank you again to Danny for being a guest. And good luck to his team going the rest of the way for. I mean, I know y'all two definitely want, his team to look good the rest of the way forward.
Yes.
Make
We need to
y'all
keep Kurt out of the big spotlight and maybe,
you can't
maybe.
hold down Justin Fields for too long, all right? We're gonna bear down on the rest of this conference. But the team, the game that's kind of sneaking out to me this week, however, the team that got the brakes beat off them last Monday, followed by the team that suffered a Raven-like loss. The Las Vegas Raiders. Who would have thought the Raiders, like the Ravens, would have had big leads and then blew them both to, especially to Kyler Murray on double XP weekend. Like, it was double XP week, and this man said, "Game on." I was shocked. I was hella shocked by that. I'm pretty sure even the defense was shocked too. But as it stands right now, the Raiders are a 1.5 point favorite. Tennessee is a plus 106. So I would like to see Tennessee to actually act like they were in the playoffs last year. I would like them to see that, to remind themselves that they actually had like some kind of formula, but I don't see it. I think when I saw it, and I kind of saw it week one when the Giants went against Tennessee, and I felt like they took the soul out of Derrick Henry then. Buffalo erased his whole soul after that too. Now, I'm not saying, granted, I did say I had Max Crosby, as a defensive player of the year candidate. The Raiders defense isn't playing that great for that even to come true. However, I do think that they're going to defensively do some things against Tennessee. They have no pass game. The run game looks erased at the moment. Oh, Derrick Henry could probably have a 100-yard game this week. I don't see it, but he could probably have a 100-yard game. I just think offensively, Tennessee has nothing to match with the Raiders. Devontae Adams in limited yards still had touchdowns. Like, you're still not stopping him from scoring that ball. He could do it with 100-something yards. He could do it with 12 yards. He's still going to score. I think, as always, the X factor for the Raiders is always going to be Derek Carr, because you never know what you're going to get with them. Defensively, as well, as you saw how Kyler Murray Swiss cheesed them, especially for not just 2 touchdowns, but 2 2-point conversions. But they have a beautiful gift. Tannehill is not Kyler Murray. So, with that being said, as I say, Raiders, I don't even think I think a 1.5 point favorite is a beautiful line, because they're definitely not going to beat them by 2 or more. I mean, it's going to be by at least a touchdown, maybe by 10 points. I don't see Tennessee doing too damn much. Lou, how do you see it going?
Again, this is one of these games that you shake your head at. Like, I didn't expect the Raiders to be where they're at right now. Tennessee, I think they were going to take a step back. One, Tannehill's older. Derrick Henry's coming off a major injury that he did come back from last year. And then they got rid of their best weapon. Like, trading A.J. Brown because they couldn't afford him was crazy to me. Crazy, because you could have still franchised him. There's a couple avenues you could have went with A.J. Brown. And to give him away to Philly for pretty much peanuts was crazy. And Vegas needs this win. I think if all the games going on this week, Vegas needs this win more than pretty much everybody on the docket this week, because they're in an elite conference. You saw what Kansas City did. Denver's looking vulnerable. The Chargers, yeah, they suffered that loss, but no one's counting them out yet. So Vegas needs this win more than I think the Titans do, especially coming up off a demoralizing loss like that to Kyler. Like, this is the problem when you trade your actually not even you didn't want to address your defense in the offseason. You traded for Devontae Adams and you shored the offense up, but on defense, who they have back there? Like, I can't even name any defensive starters on the Raiders right now. And that's what worries me. I don't think they're built to go deep into the playoffs. So I'm going to take Las Vegas just on the sure necessity that they need this game more than Tennessee does. Tennessee's going to decide really quick if they're playing for picks or they're playing, to develop Malik Willis. So,
Ben,
Yeah, this is a tough one for me as well to pick. But I'm gonna lean towards the Titans on this one. I'm just gonna lean that way just for the home field advantage. I think they're gonna play a better game defensively, although they do miss their linebacker that got hurt. I forgot his name. But anyways, their defense is a little behind what they usually play. But I don't see the Raiders defense doing anything better either. So I think on a bad defense, the run usually can take over. So I just feel like they're probably gonna feed it to Henry and try and get him going early, and probably just try and ride a close game with him. But I'll take Tennessee on this one. I think they're gonna pull off the win. They also need a win. I mean, they don't want to fall too behind. They still want to compete in the division. I don't think they want to tank yet. So
speaking of pulling off a win, anybody who is wanting to bet, you can also pull up a win. The link down below for FanDuel Sportsbook, $50 free bet. You can pull up a nice little bet with that. I would. And if I didn't have an account, I would definitely take advantage of that. But Lou, what game stands out for you this week, bro?
So I'm still in business gear because I think my team's gonna be all about business.
Woo!
Going to week 3.
Bars.
The Giants versus the Cowboys. On the sheer fact that my Giants are 2-0, they're playing with a lot of swag. It's some gritty wins they've had, and Cowboys look vulnerable as hell. That offensive line is just Swiss cheese right now. And I think this is a statement game for the Giants. Philly's 2-0. They're making huge statements. We need this win. Cowboys are pretty much demoralized right now. They did squeak out a win against Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's looked like this, the first 2 games of the season. So I'm going to ride with my Giants on this. We go into MetLife. We take care of business on a Monday night game at that. No Dak. I think the Cowboys do get Michael Gallup back this week. Cooper Rush doesn't put a fear in my heart. I'm hoping Kayvon Thibodeau makes his debut for us on defense, as well as we get Ujiri back as well. So we show up some more on the defensive side. And I love what the Giants are doing right now. There's schemes that they're throwing out there on the offense that I absolutely love. And I think Wink Martindale has done a tremendous job with his defense so far. And Graham Gano was kicking for his life last week. I mean, three field goals, 1 extra kick. He got me 17 fantasy points for my kicker. He did better than my running backs last week. So I'm riding with my G-man. They're a 1-point favorite in this, 1.5, I think. Last time I looked at the line. Monday night, MetLife Stadium. Giants take care of business.
Oh boy, Ben.
yeah, I'm riding with Lou here. I don't see the Cowboys winning this one. I think it'll be a little competitive initially, but I think the Giants hold on to that win. I don't trust Cooper Rush. Yeah, he had a decent game with Cincinnati, but the more people get tape on him and there's more they see him, they're gonna adjust to him. So you're gonna see he's just a backup quarterback. So I'll take Danny Dimes over him right now. So I'm leaning towards the Giants.
2 starts, 2 wins. Cooper Rush. He's gonna go 3-0. Let's go, Cowgirls. So the reason why I have to go with this, I have to go with this. Here's for one, I did say the Cowgirls will be the division champs. That's for one. Two, I just don't trust Danny Dimes. I'm sorry. He's looked good. I was good from this. He has looked good in these first 2 games. I just don't trust him. Now I can trust Saquon Barkley more. But I just feel that I think it's gonna be a very close and tight game. It's Monday Night Football, you know, lights are gonna be on both quarterbacks. And yes, Danny Dimes has probably he's had way more starts and way more game time than Cooper. But I think the fear of God of Jerry Jones is gonna make that man do something. Maybe may not do everything, but something to make it somewhat competitive. I don't see it being a high-scoring game. The Giants are not a high-scoring output team anyway like that. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, probably not even – it's probably the first to 20. I think the first to 20 is going to be the winner of that game. And it can very much be a 19-17 ugly game too. The same thing we had like with Patriots and Buccaneers a year ago. Like, it was just an ugly game, and you know, you just squeaked it out. That's actually what happened last week with the Cowgirls. You know, against Cincinnati, it was an ugly game, and they squeaked it out. So I think, you know, you can do those things for some time. And now I do think Cooper is going to get exposed with some time. The more you do get tape, it's the same thing that happened with my backup quarterback last year. The more teams got tape on him, the less great he. You know, everybody was like, "Oh, you don't need Lamar. You know, you got Tyler Huntley." And it's like, "You crazy?" And then when Tyler Huntley got more exposed, it was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he is a backup." So I think Cooper's going to get to that point himself, but I think he's going to have the luck of maybe doing it for like maybe 2 more games, and then Dak will be riding on his horse with sprinkles on it, you know, and try to save the day for the Cowgirls. So I know I can insult the team that I chose. All right, I can do that. I can insult the team that I chose to be division leaders. But yeah, I just think it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a drag out, and I just think the Cowboys will squeak it out, a field goal win, maybe just win by 1. Leads us to our last game, which this might be a really entertaining game. Depends on Matt Stafford's arm, however. And also depends on double XP weekend again. We got Rams at Cardinals. The Rams, of course, the Super Bowl champions, are a 3.5-point favorite. The Cardinals are plus 158. And again, the Cardinals are at home. But does it matter? Ben, does it really matter?
I don't know. In this case, I think just the defensive edge has to go to LA. And that's really what's going to be the thing. Like, I believe the Rams can contain Kyler and keep him in the pocket. Don't let him do all his crazy running around. At least limit that to some degree. So I would give that game edge to the Rams. I know it's Cardinals at home, but then again, the Rams offensive line is not what it used to be either. So
shaky.
For me, it's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with the road team on this one.
So Rams for you. Is it the same for you, Lou?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Rams on this. I don't see Arizona putting up performance, and the way they did, they came back. And second, this is an interdivisional game. Rams already lost 1. I don't think they can afford to lose 2. You're on the road, and you need to. This is one of those wins where you need to steal. You need to steal this win because you can't give Arizona any momentum. Kyler Murray is number riding high, and he still doesn't have a number 1 target. Like, they traded for Marquise Brown, and they didn't get what they paid for. They've yet to get what
I
they paid
think they
for.
did
So,
get what they paid for.
Oh,
mean-
I know they got what they paid for.
Yeah.
the reason why Buffalo's will, I mean Buffalo, but excuse me,
Baltimore.
Baltimore willing to part with him, and he has to show it up. With no DeAndre Hopkins, like this is your time to make that money, well, to put that money where your mouth is, and he has yet to do that. He dropped a touchdown. Just
That's what he does, bro.
He's looking bad. So I think Aaron Donald shows up big in this game. He contains Kyler Murray. You can't really stop him. He like a little Mighty Mouse, just like bouncing around like all over the place on that field. So I'm taking the Rams just on the sheer fact that in the divisional game, you need this win. You need to start distancing yourself, especially in the NFC West.
So this is gonna be a tough one for me. Yes, I think the Rams defense is what's going to keep them in the game. I don't know if Matt Stafford's arm is going to keep them in the game. And that I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you know, it just is what it is at this point. I think the Rams, nothing was going to prepare them for Buffalo. I do, even though I did pick the Rams to win against Buffalo, and I know y'all did pick Buffalo, and nobody saw, well, maybe y'all did, but nobody really saw them getting, like, excuse my expression, the shit kicked out of them like that. You would have thought they said something about Von Miller the way they was playing. You know, on Thursday night that time. I think the Cardinals have a problem with receiving. The tight end, you know, is solid. You know, you got Ertz, you know, he's solid. AJ Green also dropped a lot of things. He did get the last, the last touchdown, which was by the grace of God, because Kyler was trying to get him the ball and he kept dropping. This is not the same AJ Green from Cincinnati anymore, you know.
No.
As been alluded to, this is why Baltimore had no problem letting go of Marquise Brown. Again, Lamar Jackson was pissed because, you know, I get it. Y'all are two of Florida boys. You know, like that's like that's your brother from home. I get it. However, that man is not, he ain't his cousin, Antonio, you know, with who I can trust to catch the damn ball, you know, and actually do some things. Marquise just isn't it. And you know, he did what I expected him to do, which was be flaky. No DeAndre Hopkins, that's the thing that's going to kill me. And that's the reason why I'm actually going to pick the Rams. I really wanted to pick the Cardinals on this one. I wanted to be the tiebreaker, you know, I didn't want to be all three for this one, but I just can't trust Kyler 2 weeks in a row with the shaky receivers that he has. If he had D-Hop, then I'm sold on that. Because I think D-Hop versus any of the, even Jalen Ramsey, I think D-Hop wins those matchups. But I just can't see Kyler getting two in a row like that against a more competent defense. The Rams defense is way more competent than the Raiders defense at this point. I had Jonathan Taylor last week as my anytime touchdown scorer. Ben, I hate you for that one. But damn Jaguars. However, as sad as my it's sad. Well, actually, I had him as my fantasy stud, and that didn't pan out so well. I did have Mark Andrews as my anytime touchdown, and that panned out. At least something panned out last week. Y'all had some good pan outs too last week. What is it for this week? Who you got as your fantasy stud? Anybody goes first. Don't matter.
I don't know. This was a tough week for me because I think this is when you see more of the adjustments come into play. But I really do think Travis Kelce's gonna have a nice game against Indy. We have a tough time stopping tight ends, and that's Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. So I can see him having a nice breakout game, fantasy-wise.
Lou, Who you see?
I'm gonna go with Devontae Adams versus Tennessee. Um, they couldn't stop Stephon Diggs. They ain't not gonna be able to stop Devontae Adams.
My fantasy stud of the week is actually going to be somebody featured in the Sunday night game, which I think that game could have been flexed for something else. Personally, I think that game could have been flexed for something else, like Buffalo, Miami. But I think Deebo Samuel actually is going to be my fantasy stud against the Broncos. I just have a weird feeling about it because one, he's multidimensional. Now, granted, Jimmy Garoppolo is very familiar. You know, he's a very familiar person with this team. So I think Deebo is going to be a good recipient to it. Plus, not only is he a hell of a wide receiver, he's also a damn good ball carrier too. So I think that's why I think Deebo's going to have a nice fantasy output for this week. Anytime touchdown scorers. Who are we thinking? Luke?
I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase versus the Jets. You saw Sauce Gardner get a little banged up at the end of that game. Don't know what his availability looks like, but this is gonna be a good test for the Ruck going against Jamar Chase. I think he gets not one, but maybe 2 touchdowns in this game.
Mm-hmm. You stole my pick. I gotta think somebody else. Ben.
Yeah. I was thinking of what's this guy's name? Antonio Gibson from the Commanders. I think he's gonna get a cheap touchdown in the red zone. I think obviously Philly wins this game, but you know, I think Carson can get them close to the red zone, get some points on the board. So I don't think they'll be blanked out. And I think Antonio Gibson will be a good value bet for anytime touchdown.
My anytime touchdown scorer is actually going to be a quarterback. I think Justin Fields against Houston. I think outside of David Montgomery, I really think it's really just Justin Fields. So I think he's going to run for 2 touchdowns. Honestly,
He was close.
He should have had that one, y'all. That was cheating. Look, that was flat cheating. That was flat out cheating. That was some good old Lambo home cooking for that. A bonus question though. We know we are still in the middle of baseball season. Our team, the Yankees, are they are playing for a playoff spot, but not just the Yankees are the focus point. Aaron Judge is the focus point. So we got 14 games left as the time of this recording. Do you over or under 70 home runs for Aaron Judge for the rest of this year? Under?
Yeah. Under, I think so.
I say 71, and I think that's where he finishes at. I think he gets 11 in the last 14. I think he just falls behind his Bay Area idol, which is Barry Bonds, because Judge has always said the record belongs to Barry Bonds at 73. So I think he just falls short of that astonishing record, beating out the likes of A-Rod, Sosa, and McGuire's numbers. So, but just falling short to Barry Bonds' number. So I think that's the show. Man, week 3 is already here. It's upon us. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. I wish Cleveland the worst of luck forever. I mean, just as a personal note, I know I was trying to wrap up the show. As a personal note, just seeing on Twitter, and I know every fan base has a lot of pieces of shit. Every fan base. No matter the franchise, no matter what's the sport. Every franchise has a bunch of douchebags, dirtbags, scumbags. But the stuff that I've seen with Cleveland, with the mannequins, with Deshaun Watson, like, granted, he's on your team. Try to show support. It's like they're trying to, in their head, they're showing support but for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Like, this is not even like MAGA levels. This is elite. This is elite shit right here. Like, this is disgusting stuff.
It is. It is insane.
It's hard. It's horrifying. I mean, it is not just men wearing the stuff. It's women too. It's just a complete farce. Like, this is like the Twilight Zone that goes out in Cleveland. I see why LeBron left, but it's ridiculous. I wish nothing but horrible stuff for that fan base. Not so much the players; they have their own lives, but in terms of that fan base, I wish y'all misery. And that's just not just me being a Baltimore Raven fan. That's just me being a human being. So, on that note, everybody enjoy. Y'all have a good one. Like I said, FanDuel Sportsbook, $50 free bet. Like, subscribe, share. Tell your mama, tell your friends. Thank you again to Danny for being our guest for this week. We'll see y'all week 4. Peace.